Hello everyone, welcome to 19 and Becoming. I'm Eli Joseph Sean and today I want to talk about something personal, my own theory of the self. At 19, I'm at this strange and exciting point in life. I'm old enough to start making my own choices, but still young enough to be figuring out who really I am. And honestly, some days I feel like I know myself, and other days I don't. So, in this podcast, I want to explore who I am through the lens of what we have learned in class by connecting psychological theories with real experiences from my life right now. First part of myself is growing through transitions. At 19, life feels like one big transition. I'm learning, changing, sometimes confused but still hopeful. Eric Erickson's psychosocial theory really makes sense to me at this stage. He said that people around my age face the challenge of identity versus role confusion. And now, that describes me perfectly. I'm trying to figure out what kind of person I want to be, what career to pursue, and what values I want to hold on to. Some days, I feel confident in my choices. Other times, I question everything. But what I have realized through Erickson is that this confusion isn't a failure. It's part of growing up. Every challenge, every doubt, every I don't know yet moment is shaping who I am becoming. Then there is Carl Rogers who talks about the real self and the ideal self. At 19, I am constantly comparing the two, who I am right now versus who I wish I were. I see my imperfections, my insecurities, my fears of not measuring up. But Rogers helped me understand something important. Growth happens when I accept myself as I am, while still striving to improve. So, instead of seeing that gap between my real and ideal self as something negative, I see it as a space for growth. When I combine Erickson and Rogers, I see my life as a process, not of perfection, but of becoming. The second part is finding myself in others. At 19, relationships play a huge role in how I see myself. Friends, classmates, family, and even social media, they all act like mirrors reflecting pieces of me. That's exactly what George Herbert Mead talked about with his idea of the social self. He said our identity forms through interaction, through how others see us. And I realize that's true. When someone believes in me, I feel stronger. When I'm misunderstood, I start questioning who I am. But I have also learned to take control of that reflection. Yes, other people's opinions affect me, but I get to decide which ones I hold on to, which ones I let go. That connects perfectly with Albert Bandura's social cognitive theory. He said that our thoughts, behaviors, and environment all influence each other, and that self-efficacy, or believing in our ability to do something, is key. When I believe in myself, like when I trust I can handle a hard project or make a big decisions, I usually end up proving myself right. But when I doubt myself, even simple things feel impossible. So at 19, my biggest lesson from Med and Bandura is this. Other people might help me see who I am, but I get to decide what to believe about myself. Next is the part 3, facing my inner self. Another thing I have learned at this age is that not everything about me is bright and confident. There are parts I'm still working on, fears, regrets, habits I don't always like. That's where Carl Jung's idea of the shadow self really hit me. He said that the shadow is the hidden side of our personality, the parts we try to ignore or hide. For me, that shadow shows up as self doubt, overthinking, or fear of failure. But instead of running from those feelings, I'm learning to understand them. Because Jung taught me that accepting the darker parts of ourselves is part of our becoming whole. So now, when I mess up or feel insecure, I remind myself this too is part of who I am, and that's okay. Next is my part 4, my personal theory of the self. So, after reflecting all these theories, Erickson's stages, Roger's acceptance, Mead's social self, Bandura's belief, and Jung's shadow, I've come up with my own idea. My personal theory of the self is that we are always in the process of becoming, shaped by our experiences, relationships, and reflections. At 19, I'm still learning, still changing, but every version of me is real and valuable. I'm not finished product. I'm stories still being written. Every friendship, every challenge, every failure adds a new line to that story. And maybe that's what being really means, not having it all figured out, but learning to be okay with the process of becoming. And these are the last part. All my experiences reminds me that the self isn't one fixed thing. It's a blend of how we grow, how we relate, how we think, and how we feel. The self is both who we are now and who we are becoming. And that's why I wanted to present this as podcast, because speaking using my own voice feels more honest than just writing an essay. When I talk, you can hear the uncertainty, the emotion, the pauses, all the things that make self-reflection. A podcast feels like the perfect way to express my theory, because just like identity, it's alive, it's personal, and it keeps unfolding as I speak. So that's my personal theory of the self from where I am right now at 19. I don't have all the answers, but I'm learning to embrace the questions, and maybe that's what growing up is all about, not finding yourself once and for all, but becoming yourself again and again. Thank you for listening. This has been 19 and Becoming. Until next time, take care and keep growing.